Good afternoon, everyone. Prior to our Planning Advisory and Adjustment Committee meeting today, I would like to read a Pembroke Land Acknowledgement Statement. As we gather today, I would respectfully acknowledge on behalf of this committee that the City of Pembroke resides on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. It is with this statement that we honor and respect the Algonquins on whose land we reside. We will now call the meeting to order, and the first thing we ask for is approval of the agenda. Ian, Ed, all in favor? Of the meeting of March 31st, 2026, having been passed on, can we ask for a motion to approve the minutes? Moved by Marcel, seconded by Ian. Any errors or omissions to the minutes? If not, all in favor of that. Thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none, we'll move into new business. First one is B1 2026, 641 Elgin Street, Troy Gardner. Owen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Our applicant, Troy Gardner, has submitted an application for consent to sever from his existing property at 639 Elgin Street to create a new additional lot for future residential development. The existing property is zoned residential type 1, R1 by the zoning bylaw. Currently, a single detached dwelling exists on the property. Mr. Gardner proposes to maintain this existing single detached dwelling on the proposed retained lot, with the proposed severed lot being vacant land until such a time that a development proposal is brought forward. The proposed retained lot, which would maintain the civic address of 639 Elgin Street, would have a frontage of approximately 20.5 meters, a depth of approximately 38.01 meters, and a lot area of approximately 779.205 square meters. The proposed retained lot would maintain the R1 zoning. All requirements for a single detached dwelling in an R1 zone would continue to be met and exceeded, including minimums for lot area, frontage, front yard setback, rear yard setback, interior side yard setback, and lot depth. The proposed severed lot, which would be assigned the civic address of 641 Elgin Street, would have a frontage of approximately 19.746 meters, a depth of approximately 38.01 meters, and a lot area of approximately 750.545 square meters. This proposed severed lot would also maintain the R1 zoning. All requirements for a lot in an R1 zone are met and exceeded, including those minimums for lot area, frontage, and depth. The zoning bylaw requires 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit for single detached dwellings. Ample existing driveway space on the proposed retained lot would continue to accommodate the required parking for the existing single detached dwelling. Parking requirements for the proposed severed lot would be dealt with upon receiving a site plan for any future development. As both the proposed retained lot and the proposed severed lot meet and exceed the applicable residential type 1 provisions, as well as that they meet applicable parking regulations, this application meets all applicable requirements of the zoning bylaw. The existing property is designated residential by the city's official plan 2016. And as the proposed severance will allow for a new lot to be created for future residential infill development within an already built up area with existing servicing, this application strongly meets the residential direction of the official plan. Both the official plan as well as the provincial planning statement 2024 direct that any residential development should occur where there is existing municipal water and sanitary sewer servicing. The existing single detached dwelling on the proposed retained lot of 639 Elgin Street is currently fully serviced, and the same servicing would be available to the proposed severed lot of 641 Elgin Street. The requirement of a building permit for any future development on the proposed severed lot would trigger the approval of the operations department to ensure adequate servicing capacity. Further, regarding the provincial planning statement 2024, as this application will support future residential infill within a previously developed area, introducing new housing options and resulting in a net increase in residential units, this application is in keeping with the provincial planning statement. As conditions of this severance, a 5% parkland dedication fee would be required to be paid for the proposed severed lot as per the Planning Act, and a registered plan of survey depicting the severed lands would be required to be supplied to the Secretary Treasurer of this committee. As such, the Planning Department is recommending that the committee approve, subject to conditions, the application for consent to sever for 641 Elgin Street.
Thank you, Owen. Were there any submissions received regarding this application, Owen?
No informational inquiries nor submissions were received prior to this meeting.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone here representing this application, and would they like to speak?
I'm Troy Gardner. I'm here, but I have no questions or anything.
Any
I'd like to add.
questions to the applicant? Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm just curious here if you already have plans to put the lot for sale or develop it yourself?
So in the future, I think we would like to develop or not. We're definitely not planning on selling it. But at this point, just for the purposes of financing, it's best to do it now. So we're doing it now with the hopes that down the road we have the opportunity to develop it.
Thank you for satisfying my curiosity.
Thank you.
Yes, Ian.
Seeing as how it meets all requirements, I would move that the application for consent to sever for 641 Elgin Street be approved, subject to the following conditions: that the severed lands be subject to a 5% parkland dedication fee, and that a registered plan of survey depicting the severed lands be supplied to the Secretary Treasurer of the Planning Advisory and Adjustment Committee.
Seconded by Ed. Any further comments? If not, we'll call a question. All in favor of the application? Thank you very much. It's approved unanimously.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So there is a 20-day
Yes.
appeal period, Mr. Gardner, after the decision of consent is signed and should go out tomorrow. There's a 20-day appeal period. After that, the consent is provisionally granted, and you have 2 years to fulfill the conditions of consent.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank
you. Next application is B1 2020 or B1 2026, A1 2026, and A2 2026. 295 First Avenue and 284 Trafalgar Road, St. Joseph's Food Bank. Owen.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. Our applicant in this case, St. Joseph's Food Bank, has submitted a sketch in support of application to sever for 295 First Avenue for a new separate lot to be created for an existing building. The existing property of 284 Trafalgar Road is zoned institutional by the zoning bylaw. Currently, a place of worship, the Most Holy Name of Jesus Parish, and 2 buildings accessory and physically connected to it exist on the property. One of these buildings is the Holy Name Annex, which the St. Joseph Food Bank wishes to sever to have its own lot for their purchase and separate ownership. The proposed retained lot to remain 284 Trafalgar Road and contain the Church of Holy Name and its rectory would maintain its current frontage of 106.96 meters, have an irregular depth of approximately 115.6 meters, and an approximate area of 7,342.5 square meters. The institutional zoning would be maintained, and these numbers, the aforementioned numbers, easily exceed standard requirements for institutional lots. The proposed severed lot, which would be known as the existing Holy Name Annex building itself already is, as 295 First Avenue, would have a frontage of approximately 23.3 meters, an irregular depth of approximately 115.6 meters, and an approximate lot area of 1,721.1 square meters. The current institutional zoning would again be maintained, and the aforementioned numbers exceed standard requirements for institutional lots. Now, as the proposed severed property line will run through connected buildings, a minor variance is required for the Holy Name Annex on the proposed severed lot to have a minimum interior side yard setback full relief of 0 meters. And a second minor variance is required for the Holy Name Church and Rectory on the proposed retained lot to have a minimum rear yard setback for it to have full relief down to 0 meters. A building permit has been applied for and issued to building permit 2026-11 to issue to St. Joseph's Food Bank to fire separate the connected buildings along the proposed severed lot line. As a condition of this severance, it's recommended that this building permit be finalized and closed. The requested minor variance reliefs can be viewed as minor in nature as the buildings already exist in this connected form, and there will be no adverse impact in the neighborhood by these reliefs being granted. Regarding parking, the zoning bylaw requires, in this case, 20 parking spaces. The St. Joseph's Food Bank originally showed on their submitted site plan that 11 parking spaces could be accommodated on the proposed severed property, which you will see on the notice that was circulated in your agenda packages, required relief of 9 parking spaces. Their site plan has been revised to show that 15 parking spaces can actually be accommodated on the proposed severed lot, so we are lowering the requested relief to that of 5 parking spaces from the required 20. This requested relief can be viewed as being minor in nature due to the anticipated traffic being generated by the food bank being expected to be both low volume and sporadic. It should be noted that the food bank has already been operating at this location in this manner as tenants of the church for a number of years, and the city is not aware of any complaints regarding parking. Further, the Diocese of Pembroke has agreed to provide, actually they have now provided a letter indicating that they will allow the St. Joseph's Food Bank to use 9 of the parking spaces in the abutting Holy Name Church parking lot on the food bank's operating days for as long as the diocese owns the property. Both the proposed severed lot and, the proposed severed lot of 295 First Avenue would be subject to 2 easements in favor of the proposed retained lot. The first easement would be for Holy Name Church to access their accessible entrance at the rear of the church. And the second easement would be for pedestrian access to the rear of the Holy Name Rectory. Regarding the official plan 2016, the official plan designates the property as residential. The official plan states regarding this that non-residential uses in residential areas will be integrated and may include public service facilities such as schools and churches. So as the current and continuing uses of both the proposed retained lot and the proposed severed lot are service facilities, these applications can be viewed as being in keeping with the official plan. Both the official plan and the provincial planning statement 2024 again direct that within the city of Pembroke, any forecasted growth should be accommodated on municipal water and sanitary sewer services. The servicing situation of the 2 properties is currently under review with the operations department to ensure compliance with the official plan, the provincial planning statement, and the operation department's policies. We are recommending that a condition of consent be that the buildings on both the severed and the retained lots are separately serviced with both municipal water and sewer services to the satisfaction of the operations department. The provincial planning statement 2024 states that planning authorities should support the achievement of complete communities by accommodating an appropriate range and mix of land uses and other institutional uses, and by improving social equity and overall quality of life for people of all ages, abilities, and incomes. As these applications will support the long-term sustainability of St. Joseph's Food Bank, and as the food bank helps improve social equity and overall quality of life of a wide range of people, these applications can be viewed as being absolutely in keeping with the provincial planning statements. In this case, a parkland dedication fee would not apply to the proposed severed lot due to the property being institutionally zoned. A registered plan of survey depicting these severed lands would be required to be supplied to the Secretary Treasurer of this committee. So the Planning Department is recommending that the committee approve, subject to conditions, the applications for consent to sever and 2 minor variances for 295 First Avenue and 284 Trafalgar Road.
Thank you, Owen. Were there any submissions received regarding this application, Owen?
No informational inquiries nor submissions were received prior to the meeting.
Good, thank you. Are there any representatives here regarding the application, and would they like to speak to the application?
Good afternoon. My name is René Lachapelle. I'm president of St. Joseph's Food Bank. I'm here to answer any questions you may have on this project.
Any questions? Yes, Ian.
So I noticed on the sketch that there's 2 parcels, a parcel B and a parcel C, that says that it's for a right of way. Now, a right of way is for coming and going, but both of these parcels are essentially, as far as I can tell, a parking lot. So could we get some explanation and some better definitions of what we're asking for?
During operation hours, this parking lot, the one on off Trafalgar, is used by volunteers, and they're all going in at the same time for a specific shift. Let's say 9 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning, or Thursday afternoon, and they're all leaving at the end of their shift. So we figured if that's going to help the application, they're all going one direction at a specific time. There is no in and out, in and out, in and out. I understand the issue you would have. Someone wants to go out, but it's used by the volunteers on Trafalgar side.
Okay, that didn't really answer my question at all. So there's different types of easements. So an easement is something less than ownership of a property. So I could have an easement on my neighbor's lot that I can use it for parking. You're right now describing it as a right of way. A right of way means coming and going. So you don't park on an easement. You don't park on a right of way. So if I had a right of way here, I could drive in and through, and I can drive back out and back. But on a right of way, you don't park on the right of way. So where is this right of way located if it's not all of parcel C and all of parcel B?
It would be right in the middle, facing the garage, between the garage and the street.
Okay, so basically the right of way would be the strip
Right in the middle.
coming up and going, I guess, to the church back.
Entrance, back door.
And then the other one, parcel,
Is
B.
off First Avenue North.
but that's another situation where it's parking on it, correct?
We could call it, yes.
So it's not really a right of way, it's a parking easement?
It's a parking spot. There's basically only space for one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that something that's going to be tightened up then in the?
Yeah. It does give us access to the handicap parking on the church side.
So who's going to own that? Is that going to be owned by the church or owned by the?
Sorry, my name is Larry Schroeder. I represent the Finance and Property Committee at the church. We would retain ownership of our current handicap parking that is not being utilized at all during the operating hours of the food bank. There's an in and out access there. There's 2 accesses to that area, and we're quite prepared to move the first access over to the food bank. We're not in conflict for the use of that parking lot at all.
Okay, so parcel B is going to be owned by who at the end of the day?
Parcel B, I'm sorry, I don't have it. Parcel B.
It would be owned by the food bank.
Yeah, that would be transitioned to the food bank, yes. It's
Okay,
part-
so the
it's part of
church isn't,
severance
the
process.
church isn't retaining that.
No,
You're just going to have
no,
the use
no,
of
no,
it.
No, we're just, yes, and we would grant them access to those other 4 parking spots on our property, which is the side letter agreement that was mentioned earlier.
Okay, that I care less about because that's really an unofficial agreement
Fine.
between the two of you. Okay, I mean, I do expect that this right-of-way issue is going to be clarified more when we do the final easement, because at the moment, you're basically just saying that all of parcel C is a right-of-way, and again, that doesn't make sense, as we've discussed. And I'm not entirely clear what you're doing about parcel B, but I also care less about that because there's really only one parking spot. In terms of the fire separation, I do agree that that should be a condition of the, so that's not in our report. So I guess whoever moves this will need to add that as a point to the report, because it's not currently there. With respect to the parking in general, I do, as a general comment, want to take issue with saying that this is minor. We're essentially saying that missing 25% of required spaces is minor. I know there's no definition of what is minor, but I think 25% of something falls, in my opinion, drastically outside of something that's minor. And I think we're also focusing a little too much at the moment that it's currently being used as a food bank. We don't know what, like, and I'm talking to the committee here, we don't know what the future is going to hold. Once this lot is severed, it's gone. The food bank in 10 years could, they could turn around and sell this to a daycare or something, which might have a lot more parking requirements than I agree a food bank has. So I do remain concerned about the amount of parking. I do appreciate the extra spaces on that second diagram that we have. And I accept from you that it would meet your needs. My concern is just in the future, we can't suddenly do anything about it. Once it's done here today, it's done here today. And I feel like we've gotten into some parking troubles in the past by granting things that in hindsight, maybe we should have focused more on the parking. So those are my 3 points.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, if I could just address regarding the relief that's being requested for parking on the decision for a minor variance, we have specified that the relief is for St. Joseph's Food Bank, an institute, which is a defined use in the zoning bylaw, in an institutional zone. So a daycare, which is also a defined use in the zoning bylaw, could not come in, and this relief would not apply. This relief, we are trying to be as specific as possible that it is for St. Joseph's Food Bank. It is for the defined use of an institute in an institutional zone. So we are trying to address that concern.
But just to be clear, while that addresses the concern today, one, that could actually make it difficult for the food bank to sell at some point in the future. If somebody looks at it and goes, well, I can't use it without having more parking, and we can't just create land. I mean, the land is the land. So that what we're doing certainly addresses one part of my concern, but it doesn't necessarily fully address the future, because if they do go try to sell to something else, and we're saying, well, you now have a relief problem because this relief applied to the food bank, but it doesn't apply to whatever you're going to use this building for in the future. We're then just going to be in the situation where either somebody's running back here for more relief, and we can't give them more relief because there's no more land. So basically, the food bank or the next owner is coming back here saying, well, can you just grant me the same relief that you granted them? So while I appreciate that the relief only applies to the food bank, we still potentially butt up to a problem with some future use.
I think Romeo had a question before I did.
With the food bank taking over the hall, basically, is there still going to be an arrangement with the parish to be able to use it for its use?
In our purchase agreement, there is a recognition that the church will still have funerals that we deal with and funeral lunches, although they're becoming fewer and fewer. And that if it did not coincide or conflict with the scheduling of their food bank operation, that would be granted. As well as we have the once a month we have a church social after mass. So we have continued access to use it on a restricted basis, subject to the needs of the food bank.
So there'll still be a kind of an arrangement between the two administrations of the food bank as well as the church.
That's correct.
Thank you. I understand your concern, Councillor, about future use, but we can't predict the future. That's my personal optic on it. I know that's the point. But I would think, and now I'm going to speak as someone who has a business, and if I'm looking at a building that has a set number of parking, and this is critical to my business or the institution I'm leading, and I see that this is not meeting that very important criteria for me, I would look at other options. So I would think that in the future, if this property were to be put on the market for selling, that there would be people that might be interested, but they'll look at their needs and they may decide to pass on this opportunity and look somewhere else because of one specific requirement that they have to have more parking than what the property offers. So to me, like, this is very hypothetical, and I don't know that I want to prevent this application from proceeding based on very hypothetical scenarios.
Yes, okay. Okay, Ian again, and then.
In terms of the parking requirements, so this is based on square footage of the building. Are there other zones, if this was rezoned residential or if this was rezoned commercial, do the parking requirements get better at any point?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So if this is rezoned to a residential use, say a residential use, then yes, the parking requirements, they change.
But if it's rezoned commercial?
They would also change.
To the better or to the worse?
It depends on the defined use.
Okay, because I guess what I would say to the member beside me is it's not necessarily hypothetical, because what we're saying is this relief is present as long as it's a food bank. As soon as the food bank decides that they want to sell this property, which at some point in time, something's going to happen. It always does. That relief disappears. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Hutton, if it's zoned residential and they haven't knocked down part of the building, it would immediately have a problem because the relief is based on square footage at the moment.
That's correct. But if
it got rezoned, then it would depend.
But the rezoning would come back before this committee, before council. It would be reevaluated by the planning department, and we wouldn't support an application that was so deficient.
Yeah. So my only point is we're granting relief at the moment for something that says it should have 19 or 20. So we're already granting relief. And as soon as the food bank were to move out of there, in that moment, if it's still institutional, it would actually be a problem until somebody rezones in some way or another. So it's not entirely hypothetical. At some point in time, the food bank's going to move out of there and we're going to have to do something with it. So I'm just saying we're really just kicking a can down the road by not just requiring what our bylaw requires. And again, 25% to me is not minor.
Marcel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of issues. I'm not too concerned about the parking because at the food bank, a lot of people who go to the food bank are walkers. Not that many cars, really. So right now, I don't see the parking as an issue. I can't agree with Councillor Keel that the future holds what. We have issues in our city that are identical. For example, the senior center and the grind, same thing. If the grind decides to sell tomorrow and the city doesn't exercise its option to buy it back, what are we going to do with it? There's no parking there at all. Same thing applies. The right of way, I don't see a problem with the right of way. There's right of ways and easements throughout this community. There's an easement right through my own property. I don't have a problem with it. I think delaying things to the future or food bank is an absolute necessity to this community. Or food bank will probably be there long after we're gone. So what I would do, Mr. Chair, is I would move that we accept the proposal as tabled with the conditions that are met, that have to be met on the table.
We have a seconder, Romeo. Any further discussion, Ed?
Mr. Chair, just a couple questions. The hours of the food bank are what?
Mondays 9 to 12 and Thursdays 4 to 6 p.m.
And my secondary part of that question, in those particular hours of operation, have you ever encountered issues with parking?
No. I've been studying in the last few months on the proportion of people actually come in a car and park, people who walk, people who come by taxi, and some get dropped off and picked up. So there is actually no parking involved. So that parking is about less than 50%. And mind you, a lot of clients will share a vehicle, pick up someone else. Are you going to the food bank at this time? Yeah, I'm going. Can I get a ride with you? You know, so that's two clients or two households being served with one vehicle.
Thank you. I've learned something. Thank you very much.
Any further questions? We have a motion. All in favor of the motion? Sorry?
Motion read.
Oh, yeah, okay, please.
We will go with 3 different motions if that works, because there's 2 minor variances and then there's the severance application, correct? So maybe we'll go with the severance first.
Okay.
I believe them.
Oh, yeah, okay. So we'll deal with this severances first. Yes.
Thank you. So the planning department is recommending that the committee approve, subject to the following conditions. 1, that a minor variance be approved for the severed lot of 295 First Avenue, granting relief from minimum interior side yard setback requirements and minimum parking space requirements. Number 2, that a minor variance be approved for the retained lot of 284 Trafalgar Road, granting relief from the minimum rear yard setback requirement. 3, that a building permit 2026-11 to fire separate the connected buildings along the severed lot line be finalized and closed. 4, that the buildings on both the severed lot and the retained lot be separately serviced with municipal water and sewer services to the satisfaction of the operations department. And 5, that a registered plan of survey depicting the severed lands be supplied to the secretary treasurer of the Planning Advisory and Adjustment Committee.
Marcel, do you agree with that?
Yes.
A seconder?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All in favor of that motion? Carried, thank you. Second, was there a second?
2 minor variances.
2 more?
Next one for the minor variance.
The planning department recommends that the committee approve, subject to the condition that severance is approved, of the minor variance for 295 First Avenue, granting relief from minimum interior side yard setback and minimum parking space requirements, again, subject to the condition that consent to sever B2 2026 be approved.
Marcel, you agree with?
Yes.
Seconder?
Yes.
Yes. All in favor? Carried. Next.
And the planning department recommends that the committee approve, subject to a single condition, again, that consent to sever file B2 2026 be approved. The minor variance for 284 Trafalgar Road, granting relief from minimum rear yard setback.
Agreed?
Yes.
Agreed. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Past decisions update. Oh, or I'm sorry.
So thank you very much for attending. When the decision of consent should be sent out tomorrow. So that means that will trigger the 20-day appeal period. Once the 20-day appeal period has been completed and if no appeals have been received, then the severance is provisionally granted. And again, you have 2 years to work on that list of conditions. I will copy you on the email tomorrow with the decision that will have the conditions. Thank you.
True. Now we go to past decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So at this committee's last meeting of March 31st, 2026, 2 zoning bylaw amendment files were heard, one for 365 Matheson Drive, one for 268 Isabella Street. Both of these applications proceeded to a public meeting of council on April 7th. They were passed as bylaws by council on April 21st. They are currently within their 20-day appeal periods. That appeal period is set to close on May 14th at 4 p.m.
Thank you. Anything further? If not, our next meeting is planned for Monday, May the 25th, 2026. Motion to adjourn by Marie Johnson, seconded by Ian. All in favor? Oh, I don't need it. Yeah, thank you.